Fast topic number 4. Let's talk about the cope, guys. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable levels of cope, okay? So we got an article from PC Gamer talking about Avowed. Now, this is not the first article that I've seen that's like this. I see a lot of journalists basically writing the same exact article, trying to convince the mainstream, I don't know, whoever, that Avowed totally doesn't have to be like Skyrim. That Avowed totally doesn't have to be like Oblivion. That Avowed totally doesn't have to be like every other RPG that came before it. And it doesn't have to offer anything that came before it. It's only got to be its own thing. It is an immense amount of cope, right? These are the people that are trying to tell you that the game's a commercial success. So the headline for this article caught my interest. I should have did a video on it, but I didn't get a chance to. It says, I don't care about being able to kill everybody and steal the mayor's pants in an RPG like Avowed. And I'm tired of pretending it's mandatory. You don't have to be Skyrim to be good. So I think it's safe to say that the shills are coping and seething pretty damn hard over Avowed. I think it's safe to say that they are getting a little bit felted because people keep bringing up Skyrim. People keep bringing up Oblivion. It's sad that people bring up Oblivion to compare to your modern game, and people would choose Oblivion over your modern game. That's sad enough as it is. But they're trying to make an excuse for one thing and one thing only. And they're trying to excuse lazy development. They're trying to excuse the degradation of creativity and the development cycle as a whole. They're trying to excuse all of that because they know that the only reason why a game like Avowed doesn't have the simple mechanics that Elder Scrolls has introduced for decades is because, quite frankly, it's one of two things. Either they didn't have the skill, which I think that's most likely it, or they didn't have the budget, which I don't believe because they're tied with Xbox. So I think it's safe to say they could get all the money they want. They don't have the skills to do what Elder Scrolls has been doing for over a decade. And they're trying to blame it on, well, it doesn't have to be like that. We're just choosing to do X, Y, Z, blah, blah, blah. They are making this game for the modern audience. That's genuinely what it was. And I don't mean that from a woke standpoint. I mean that from an accessibility standpoint. They have made Avowed to be the Temu Skyrim, the Temu Elder Scrolls. They made Avowed to be the easiest thing that you possibly can play if you're trying to play anything that's even remotely like Skyrim. That is what they did with Avowed. That's the entire reason why Avowed exists. They're trying to sell you a bargain bin version of Skyrim, Oblivion, Elder Scrolls in general. That's what they're trying to do. And then they're trying to tell you that, oh, it doesn't have to be like Elder Scrolls. Even though the first thing that people thought when looking at this game, and rightfully so, is, oh, that's interesting. Looks like Skyrim. Yeah, actually, Planet in the chat says it perfectly. Baby's first RPG. Bro, that is the best comment I've ever read about Avowed. Let me put it on screen. This is the best comment I've ever read about Avowed right here. Baby's first RPG, which is why the journalists love this game. They love this game. So my thing is, if you are saying that this is essentially a beginner RPG or a light version of Skyrim, then my question to you is, why are you charging the same price that Skyrim charged? If Skyrim was charging full price as a AAA game, why are you charging full price as a AA game? Why are you charging AAA price as a AA game? This is why people are going to scrutinize you so much. If you release your game at $49.99, I don't think many people will be complaining. I've always said that I feel like the game should have been released at $49.99. Why is the game being released at $70 fucking dollars? And then on top of that, if you want early access, you're paying almost $100. Why? Why? If this is a AA game, and that's the excuse that you're going to fall back on when people compare you to other AAA titles that have more and did it better, then you really shouldn't be complaining because you set yourself up for that. You set yourself up for that. You could have sold way more copies too if you would have priced it at $49.99. Because that's where you belong. You belong at a $49.99 retail price, and then eventually going to go on sale, 90 days later for, I don't know, $29.99 or something like that. But that's where Avowed belongs. So you have these people, these journalists, who are coping and seething. Look at this. In fact, Avowed is a game that has come under constant scrutiny for this simple fact. And to be fair to its detractors, they're correct by a technicality. Oh, no. It's not a technicality. Avowed is not a very reactive game. There's no real stealth system. There's no theft system. There's no bounty system. You can't kill everyone you come across. NPCs don't have daily routines. It's a world trapped in amber that you invited to wander through, but not live in. If you were expecting those things, you'll be disappointed. Gee, I wonder why people were expecting those things. I wonder why people were expecting those things. We got a comment here saying from Ashton, how many of you have actually played it? Not only did I play it, but I beat it also. If you want to see my full review of me playing it for all 13 streams, you can go check out Hypnotic Live. Because unlike the journalists, I actually play games and I showcase it. So yeah, I beat Avowed from start to finish. Despite the fact, hold on, let me bring this back up. Sorry, I clicked the wrong button. My bad. Hold on. Despite the fact that I've been denied these RPG staples as apparently necessary as bread and water, I've somehow managed to enjoy myself. And that's because Avowed is an extremely focused game. Its narrow scope hones in on a few things: combat, exploration, environments, and story. So here's what I'll say. These two, actually, you know what? Fuck it. Not even the combat, bro. Just this. Just this right here. Exploration is the only thing that I'm going to give Avowed a high score in. I'm not even kidding. You guys know, I'll be very honest with you. The exploration in Avowed is top tier. It is sincerely top tier. It is what I hope other RPGs do with exploration. But aside from that, the combat is simplistic garbage. I went through the entire game using 2 skills up until the end where I just decided to use a third one for fun, but I didn't have to. It was literally just stun lock dead, stun lock dead, stun lock dead. That is it. The environments, they only start to get good towards the end. That is it. The story, we're not even going to talk about the story. We're not even going to talk about the story because I fell asleep during half of the fucking thing. We're not even going to talk about the story. This game is mid, bro. It is unbelievably mid. That is it. It is unbelievably mid. And the reason why is because the developers wanted it to be mid. They wanted to sell you mid. That's the sad part. They took out everything else that would make you go, ooh, that's interesting. Oh, that's cool. Oh, wow. They took out all of that. All of that. Aside from the exploration, they took out all of that and they served you baby's first RPG. Which I love that phrase, by the way. So shout out to you, Planet It. I'm going to be stealing that phrase. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And the guy says, and you know what? It does all of those things well. Its a story is maybe the weakest of those points. It is. The story is fucking terrible. But even then, as a fan of textured, sleepy world building and nuanced fantasy politics, I've been having a grand time. Again, most of the time that I had any sort of fun playing Avowed was when I was just running around collecting things. You guys know. If you watch my stream, you'll know. You guys were calling me a loot whore and stuff because I was just running around collecting every little chest, every little whatever. That was the majority of the fun that I was having in that game. Aside from that, though, it was fucking mid, bro. Unbelievably mid. Anyway, so the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because it's very clear that the shills are coping and seething. They're trying to come up with excuses as to why the game is the way it is. Bro, just call it what it is. It is a extremely lazy, extremely simplified Temu version of Skyrim, baby's first RPG. And it's genuinely made for the modern audience that is looking for accessibility, easy mode games. That is what it's looking for. Even on the hardest difficulty, I guarantee you the game is going to be a cakewalk. Especially if you use the build that I ended up finding out, the stun build. Oh, forget about it. Nothing can touch you. They'll just be basically, bullet sponges. That's it. Nothing will touch you. And it's a joke. It really is a joke. But they're just going to try to find every excuse for it. And that's where we're at, man. That's why people make fun of these guys.